with that being said, we're going to move over to our next panel now, which will be our very last panel for the day, actually. So it's going to be our senior fellow, Greg Bauer, who will be talking to Grace Hameister. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And they're going to be talking about high-tech accelerated tissue repair for optimal well-being. So I've had a couple of different discussions revolving around healthcare in general, and looking at different ways of improving healthcare, population-wise, and also with healthcare providers. So really looking forward to this conversation, and hopefully you guys can also share your videos too. I think I need to also make you guys co-hosts. I don't know why. Again, I don't know why Zoom is making me do this, but can you guys hear me okay? Greg and Grace?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, hi, Jerry. I'm unable to start my video because the host has stopped it. So just wanted to check on that.
Okay, I do not know why I would do that, Greg. I would do it on purpose, I promise you. There you go. Fantastic. You should be able to share your video now, Greg, so we can have a face-to-face conversation
Great.
with Grace here. Fantastic. All right. So,
All right.
Without further ado, I don't want to take up too much more time. I know we've only got a 15-minute window, but I think we can go a couple of minutes over since I took some of the wind out of the sails. So the show is all yours, Greg, and looking forward to hearing this wonderful conversation.
Terrific. Let me just check here. I've got everything. Make sure my screen is fit here. Okay. Well, Grace, really nice to meet you. And what an interesting background you have with what you've been doing as an Olympian athlete, and then getting into as a doctor, getting into oncology and immunology, and coming up now, I guess, with a new product that is designed to help people manage their health more effectively. Is that correct?
Some of that is.
Okay.
Most of it is, yes. I'm not in oncology. I am a chiropractor and I practice functional medicine. But I do work quite a bit with helping people to heal from cancer and or preventing it in the first place. So that was one little difference of my skill set there. And yes, I am designing a food tech company that's helping to give people access to optimal health by finding the exact foods that they need at the grocery store to help them decrease their conditions.
Well, that's great. And maybe you can just tell everybody a little bit about your background. I mean, it's fascinating. I just read here that you're a former Olympic level rhythmic gymnast.
That's correct. I was the first Olympic level rhythmic gymnast in my state of Wisconsin. So
wow.
Yeah, it was when I was my early teen years, 13 to 16, I think, somewhere in there. Yeah. And then after that, I was a professional water skier and won the world championships in water skiing, and then became a doctor.
Wow, that's fabulous. Whereabouts in Wisconsin are you from?
Elkhart Lake. It's an hour north of Milwaukee. I'm currently in Milwaukee now after living in California for 18 years. I've relocated back home.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
Well, my mother's family is all from Milwaukee, and the cousins grew up in Whitefish Bay, and they lived out in Mequon, and so I know of Elkhart Lake actually quite well. So
awesome.
Everyone's still out there, so having a good time when we get back to see each other. So, well, again, thank you for joining us. Can you talk a little bit more about the nature of this offering that you're developing with this expertise that you've developed? I guess there's a product that you're trying to forge, is that right?
Yes, I'm now creating a company called Food Fixer, and what it is the ability to Well, here's how it works. It's an app. We're going to start it as an app, and we're going to
Okay.
scale out into different processes too, including in-app purchases, as well as coaching, and then finally actual meal prep and delivery. But from my over 20 years of private practice, I found that the top 4 killers in modern medicine have one thing in common. They're all preventable and potentially reversible just by eating the right food. As it stands, every 36 seconds, somebody in the United States dies from a heart-related condition. Every 36 seconds. Obesity is now at 40%. Our entire population is at 40% obese. It's been rising by 28% since 2008. And every year, this statistic also rises, which just breaks my heart. But this year in particular, 606,000 people will die from cancer. This is not just a disease crisis. This is a food knowledge crisis. When people are given the right food in the right way, it not only optimizes your body to help prevent these diseases, but it also can help to reverse the condition and heal you from the other side. So I want to flatten the curve on the top four killers in modern medicine. And so that's what Food Fixer is all about. I'm creating an app that will be free at first. Obviously, besides the in-app stuff that will be coming, but the free part of it will be that you give us your profile. Say you have you've just been diagnosed with cancer, or you have endometriosis, or you just had a concussion and you need to have brain repair or anti-inflammatory diet. We put in that information, you give us all that information, and we will give you a list of the perfect foods to buy at the grocery store that will help you to heal from that particular condition. So unlike most of the apps that are out there right now that focus specifically on your macronutrients, your sodium intake, your fat and protein balance, all that kind of thing, they stay in the fitness and weight loss lane. This is completely different in that we are looking to improve people's health and decrease your conditions and health problems, disease states, by eating the right foods in the right way and giving you the exact ones to get to help you to do that.
So you're really playing into the whole movement of social determinants of health, where data is being captured to try to understand more about patient populations, and working at population health management, starting at the individual by educating and helping with health literacy, it sounds like.
Absolutely. The whole purpose of this is to give people access to the information that, I can't tell you how many times people come into my office and they look at me after being diagnosed with cancer, or they're in the midst of their obesity or diabetic daily living, and just look at me like, now what do I do? How do I handle this? And 9 times out of 10, what most people do is they Google it. We've got to do better than that. We are better than that. Our healthcare system needs more. And you know what? Drugs and surgery is not the only way to do this. In fact, obesity wouldn't be rising if it was just about eating differently and dieting. People aren't doing this in a way that's effective, and they're not being shown how. We need to have a centralized, scientifically based system that allows people to gain access in one source, evidence-based source. And that's what Food Fixer is for.
Fabulous. How do you go about building the content on the app, and how do you work with or structure maybe partnerships of content partnerships from medical practices and how does that process work for you?
Well, so far we're in the development stage, so we haven't made any partnerships outside of just giving birth to this little digital baby, and that's what we're in the process of right now. But yes. I do see as valuable partnerships with insurance companies for certain, because wellness programs and metrics that track people's their health in ways that show them improving their health, so that they don't have to get very expensive care. You can have proactive care rather than reactive care. That's what this is all about. So, the insurance route is one way we'd like to go. Another one is partnering with making this like an Instacart kind of a situation, where all the grocery stores that sell the food will have access to us and vice versa, and they'll be under our umbrella. So when you're going grocery shopping, you can get the things that you need, but they'll also be getting the things that you need with the facts of knowing that this food will help make you better. So what we're building out right now is based on decades of research, years and years and years of research of what foods do help you and do with so in natural means. So, functional medicine is a bit of a catchphrase now, but it's what most nutritionists and chiropractors have been doing for a long, long time, which is going back to looking at cellular function in the body. No matter what scientific platform you look at, the body's the body, right? So if you look at what's depleted in, say, someone who's suffering from chemotherapy side effects or psoriasis outbreaks, what are you needing at the cellular level that's missing? That's what we'd go back and find, and then find the foods that have the highest concentration of those constituents. That's the basis of how this would work.
So you can map the requirements for an individual, because each individual has his or her own chemistry.
Right.
And as a result, you map the the appropriate vitamins and nutrients for the people. It's interesting. A number of years ago, I was doing some work actually in Michigan in digital health, and came across a doctor who was giving a lecture about big data. Mm-hmm. And the premise of his talk was that big data was going to allow for a sort of a seismic shift in the way clinicians look at caregiving. From today, it's detect and respond to anticipate and prevent. Right. And when when you just said proactive, that sort of made me think back to that. And I think the digital health technologies are the tools that will enable that to happen. And when you look at the number or the percentage of Americans today, I think it's almost 50% have at least one chronic condition, and a whole slew of people are close to being diabetics because of the weight issue.
Yeah.
You're right in the sweet spot, I think, for this proactive care movement.
Yeah, I agree. And I find it fascinating that we're at a space in our existence of time now where people are really seeing the impact of this and the positive impact of having this and taking this proactive approach. Even when doing the research of looking at market value and what people are really craving in our society now, people are spending their money on food. We all have to eat. There's no getting around that one, right? But what's really awesome is that people generally and genuinely are involved more on what they eat, where it comes from, and where it's being sourced. The sustainability aspect of it is much more prevalent and at the top of the minds of people, and more important than just the convenience factor. We are now seeing, after decades of convenience, that convenience isn't convenient for the body. It's not. It's causing the problems that we have.
It's in the eye of the beholder, right?
Right. Yeah. There's no way to unsee the fact that the fast food industry has decimated our planet and created a ton of health problems. And it's finally getting to a place where we can have fast food, but you know what? It can be really good and delicious and actually build the body rather than break it down.
That's great. Just terrific. What is the time frame for the development and the launch, or when ideally would you like to launch Food Fixer?
I would like to launch it in the next 6 months. We are in the seed funding process right now. So, I got to pay my guys. I have the team and we're chomping at the bit to do it. So anyone out there who knows of some angel funders or would like to contribute to crowdfunding campaign that we're doing, I'm more than happy to speak with them. So it basically comes down to the finances as anything, but we've got some great traction. I just did a pitch competition here in Milwaukee with the Milwaukee Health Tech Group, which was amazing. Unfortunately, I was not the judge's favorite that day, although I was fan favorite. So that made me happy. We did get.
That's good.
Yeah, and what we
That's
didn't
good.
win,
Well,
exactly. What we didn't win in swag that night, we definitely got it exponentially in contacts and people in interest and getting a spotlight on this. And we're being heard, and it's coming. It's coming soon.
that's terrific. Um, so what have you thought yet about how your business model would work in terms of what you charge? I mean, I'm imagining as part of the answer to your question or to my own question is that you've got people who are going to pay you, and then you've got other stakeholders who are part of the equation that maybe they don't pay you, but they would care greatly about what you're doing. Um, and so who are, I mean, is it the average person who, or do you go to the insurance company, as you mentioned, and then they pay you a per member per month kind of a deal?
Sure. I mean, what these are all very fluid, um, conceptual topics right now. I mean, our customer base can be very different than the user base, right? So when we're
Yes,
looking
right.
at how we want to launch this originally, I want to take a two-step process with this. One that's more like less medicinal and more fun, like
Mm-hmm.
Angry Birds meets My Fitness Pal kind of thing, which
Right. Mm-hmm.
which people will be engaged and they'll be gaming and they'll want to use it and see the empowerment of what happens when you choose the foods in the ways that are
Mm-hmm.
chosen for you to help you. And that would be more of that Instacart kind of model, right? Where you'd have the grocery stores underneath our umbrella, or the restaurants. We'd like to do geolocation. So you can find like the little food fixer guy. He'll be like kind of like a cartoon, like Pokemon. And no matter what state you're in or what country you go to visit or city, you can find the restaurants that have the kinds of foods that we are
Yeah.
promoting. So that'd be a fun way to do things. And then yes, of course, partnering with insurance companies and wellness markets that will
Yeah.
give us our percentages of revenue
Mhm.
from people using the product.
I imagine that there could be a layer of revenue associated with sponsorships where maybe certain brands that um, are deemed worthy of certain diets would
Yes.
want to position themselves in that once you have a critical mass of an audience and
Right.
stickiness.
Yes, the internal advertisement, and that's obviously, yes, a huge function of what we want to do. I've got a list of quite a few companies that I recommend to my patients all the time. And, not only is it beneficial for the people to learn about it, but then when you're looking at it from the grocery store perspective, we can literally be helping to drive people to their stores if they have more of the products that match the specs that we're talking about. So
Wow.
that's, again, kind of falls under that same Instacart model, because not only will we get percentages off the transactions of people buying the food, but then we also have the revenue model with advertisement within that cart too. So
That's right.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I
And
imagine,
memberships, people can be members and they pay less
Mhm.
on shipping and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But we also want to scale this out to having actually one-on-one coaching too. So if you are going through a situation that's not just weight loss, it can be surviving cancer, like we're talking about. Well, you can
Right, right.
actually have a person who's trained with this knowledge and under my brand, so that the messaging is similar, to be able to have a telemedicine like, or texting, or one-on-one kind of interaction, and that would be another revenue stream for us.
That's really fascinating. I can imagine that this whole remote patient monitoring piece of telemedicine
Oh yeah.
could play a really important role in addition
Yeah.
to the commentary and the guidance as
Absolutely. I
well.
mean, that's one of the beautiful things about this COVID virus is it's really unified the entire world and made everybody a lot less technology scared and savvy instead,
Right,
So
right.
telemedicine is definitely something I already do. So there's no reason whatsoever that it can't be implemented into this app and given people
Mhm.
access to this too. Yes.
That's terrific. Wow. This is great. I'm trying to think here. I'm mindful of it's 5 after, but let's see if Jerry happens to still be listening. I'm delighted to keep the conversation going, but if you have something else that you need to get to, I don't want to hold you back, but
I'm
because it's
I'm
such a
free to
fest.
talk. Yeah, we're here. I'm here for you for sure.
Okay. Um, do you envision this also being like a white label piece where you could have others, maybe there are existing coaching services out there that would
Mhm.
like to take the platform you have and incorporate it so that Food Fixer could be something of a um, a white label opportunity for people?
Originally, we were thinking of going in that direction, like making strategic partnerships with, say, Whole Foods in particular. And what I find that, after really looking in the market more and asking the right questions, that white labeling could be a little bit more distracting for the actual build out. We're looking at a lot of data here, a lot of data, every single nutrient, every single vitamin, every single herb, how it's put into a recipe, what it does for the body. I mean, there's several different texts that I'm using that have been around for, again, decades, that we're in the 5th and 6th editions now. So, we would be a central source that is evidence-based. And so it would be more beneficial to create, again, it's because it's something that people really understand how Instacart works. I mean, you can find any product that you want. You just need to find it in the right store, right? So we'll be able to actually, triangulate this so that the stores that have the most amount of the products that will help the body the most will be, at the top of the list, and we'll have little gradations of that, right? So you'll be able to find what you need. And then if you don't have access to it, I mean, let's be real. People in socioeconomically disadvantaged areas of the city, or that live up in, the Upper Peninsula of the state, and are literally shooting their own food. They'll go deer hunting and feed their family for the year, right? I mean, people don't have complete access to all these ingredients and all the foods that may have the ingredients. So you got to get the next best thing and do what we can. So in order to build this app, we're putting in a lot of data. So white labeling didn't seem as efficient as creating more of a customer value umbrella that would allow for all the products to be there.
Yeah. I can just imagine the logistics of pulling
Yeah.
that information together would be uh, a lot.
Yeah.
So that's great. Well, hats off to you for pulling this together. I think it's got a great potential. We have probably a number of people that we could send you to, or have people come to you who are
Yeah,
sort of
please.
thinking them a lot like you are.
Awesome. I'm
Yeah,
welcome to come. Absolutely.
that's great. It's great. Jerry, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here, Greg. Really
Okay.
great conversation here. About really looking at, like Grace really pointed out, that it's really putting the onus on the consumer in terms of looking after your own health, not just for your own well-being, but to help the system in general.
Right.
Much like a bit far out there, but quarantine, during COVID, right? It was really, making sure everyone was indoors so that we don't overburden the health system. So it's almost a different play on that, effectively.
Well, and I think Jerry, also the final point that I would raise before turning this over to you would be that we spend so much money today, 20% of GDP on healthcare, that we simply cannot afford to just continue life as normal. We have got to find a way of not only, as Grace was saying, flatten the curve on the incidence of these top four causes of death in our society, but we also have to find ways to lower the downstream costs and flatten that curve as well.
Mhm.
And so this idea of being proactive anticipate and prevent when you start looking at large populations. That's one of the ways that you can start to look at downstream costs coming down with better outcomes if people are taking charge over their health and getting educated with it. So it's great. It's great stuff.
No, absolutely. I think it's definitely some very thought-provoking stuff. And
Yeah.
Grace, we wish you well with
Thank you.
with getting the platform out there and helping people take charge of their own health. And unfortunately, we have to end the conversation there because we are a little bit over time. But this is the last panel of the night, so I definitely welcome it. But we don't have to stop the conversation there. There are plenty of virtual networking rooms that you and Greg and anybody else in the audience can continue the conversation with. I think Stan is in one of the networking rooms doing a virtual cocktail hour. So if you can find him, I'm sure he'd love to chew your ear off about what you're doing, Grace. So
I'll work on that. I'll try to find some of the links to get in there for sure.
Yeah.
Wonderful having you both on. Thank you, Grace, for coming on and sharing, what you're doing and what you have done. And Greg, thank you for being such a gracious moderator. So
well, thank you.
Until tomorrow, I think. For some of you, unless you guys want to check out my closing remarks in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Then we'll bid you goodbye, and we'll see you around, Grace, and all the best.
All right. Terrific. Thanks a lot, Jerry. Thank you, Grace, very much.
Thanks,
Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.